Hey guys, Anita Stevens with Simply Stevens Real Estate. It's time for your market update report. We try to get this out to you once a quarter, and as of right now, it is July 30th. So we're at the end of July and wanted to give you kind of an update on what we're seeing and what's to come through the rest of the year, what's being predicted to come the rest of the year. So I'm going to do a screen share with you real quick, and we are going to jump right in and start giving you some info. So people have been asking us, will home prices keep rising or are they going to start to fall? What are we seeing happening with pricing? So wanted to show you that this is kind of where we are right now. If you look at post-pandemic, when we were going through all the feeding frenzy, is what I like to call it, of the real estate market, this is appreciation. So home prices are starting to moderate. Everything is starting to kind of stabilize out, normalize out. So 20%, this is where we were coming out of the pandemic and the past, 2 years ago. So this was January 2022. So basically it was pretty high up there all the way through really into 2023. It's where it started to come back down. So this was really kind of an unhealthy market. This is when we were seeing home values jump up 100,000 overnight, and it was the bidding wars were crazy. It was very hard for buyers to compete for a home. I've heard us talk about, if this is one of your first times seeing one of our videos, what is normalized kind of a year over year average is 4%. So we showed a graph several years ago all the way back to the 70s. And so if you looked at it over a long period of time, average appreciation was really around 4%. So right here at 5%, if you follow this line over, we're still above that right now, over 5%. So we're still a good bit over 4%. Again, this is appreciation that was happening so far this year, January, February, March, and April. So where is it going to go from here? Where do we think? So right now, what they're thinking is we're going to end up somewhere around 3.2 as being maybe the year average. Fannie Mae is saying 6.6% appreciation, and Freddie Mac is saying 0.5. So if you take the average of all the folks that are, putting out their figures of what they think it'll be, the average is about 3.2%. That's probably where we'll, end up somewhere in this category at the end of the year. Now, again, this is appreciation, not depreciation. So, when people are saying things are dropping, y'all have heard us talk about this before, they're talking about appreciation, not values. Nobody's value has dropped. At this time, we're still having appreciation, and at the rate over the year, the course of the year, it might be somewhere around 3.2%, maybe 4%, 5%. So I think we're going to be somewhere in there, which is still the average year over year. So that's good news. Now, what does it mean for 2025? 2025, it looks like it may, depending on who you talk to. Goldman Sachs thinks it's going to be 4.4%, which is still over that 4% year over year. But then Freddie Mac is thinking 0.5% appreciation. So if you take everybody's thoughts, put it together, you're at 2.7, which is lower than the 4%. So that is prices, leveling out. It's still appreciation. Nobody's lost value in their homes yet or anything. It just means it's not accelerating. The good news for that is, buyers out there, when you guys are looking, there is more on the market, coming on the market for you guys right now, more options for you to choose from. So let's talk about that with interest rates, because that's another question we've been getting, is what are rates going to do for this coming up year with the election and all that. So I thought this was interesting data. This actually came from Freddie Mac, and they looked at from 1980 election all the way to 2022. Out of those 11 presidential elections, 8 of those, the actual rate went down. And that it went down, this was data that was between July and November of those election years. Now, there has been some projections that have been put out there that we'll probably see a little dip maybe in, they were saying September and October, and it was showing kind of where the banks would hit that. And then it might kind of come back up again and then go back down again in 2025. However, that could be unlikely, but it could happen a little bit. If you look at this and you look at the data, 8 out of the last presidential elections, the rate did come down a little bit right before the election. So I would not, if you're a buyer, I would not hold waiting on that because you can always refinance your home if the rates were to come down enough for it to make a difference. As far as purchasing though, that appreciation is still there. So if homes are appreciating still right now at a rate of over 5%, you take a $400,000-$500,000 home, times that 0.05, come out with that amount. That's the amount that home went up for you as a buyer trying to buy. That makes a difference. So you want to go ahead and get, home values are now still going up. So you don't want to slow down on buying if you've been thinking about buying. You can always adjust the rate and refinance later on if the rates do come down. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys is the, let me jump out of here, is we always talk about the supply and the month supply. So, you know, when we were coming out of the pandemic, when all those bidding wars happened, you guys heard me talk about how we had less than a month's worth of supply of inventory. So meaning that if we didn't put anything else on the market in a month's period of time, we didn't have any more homes to sell. We would be out of homes to sell. So the market was that pent up, and that was why there was all the bidding wars. The buyers out there were fighting over homes, and we'd see 20, 30 offers on all the homes that we put on the market. It was just crazy. So we were kind of, as agents, you know, going, oh, we need the inventory to come up. 6 months worth of inventory is what's considered normal. So 6 months worth of inventory is a balanced market. It's good for the seller and it's good for the buyer. So you can see we've been slowly climbing back up. So the green line is Jackson County. Right now, it's at 3.8%. Hall County is at 3.7, I'm sorry, not percent, months, 3.8 months of inventory. Hall County, 3.7. So that's getting close to 4 months worth of inventory, which is good. And the Gwinnett is at 2.7, so it's getting close to 3%, and so is Barrow at 2.9. So that's good news for buyers out there. It means that you're starting to see a little bit more options. Sellers are also negotiating a little bit more in closing costs. We're able to put back into an offer, asking for things like home warranties, making sure there's a termite bond in place, ask for things like that, that during the bidding wars, all that went out the window. So that's good news for the buyer. For the sellers, it's still good for you because home values are still going up. It's healthy market. It's not tons and tons of inventory because again, 6 months is still good for everybody. I mean, you guys, back in the 1990s when I was selling inventory, we had 8 months worth of inventory back then. So still, to me, this is like not very much inventory out there. It still sometimes takes a minute to find the right house. So I'm going to stop screen sharing because I wanted to also share something else. I'm always going to tell you the good, bad, and the ugly. And I wanted to tell you the things that we're experiencing right now that we're seeing is more days on the market. And I think that's for a couple of different reasons. And it's interesting because even in the 90s, whenever we had 8 months worth of inventory, I could sit at a listing appointment with you and tell you without a doubt, I will have your home under contract 3 weeks or less. That was just, I knew for certain that was what's going to happen because that was our track record. Right now, we're seeing homes stay on the market a little bit longer. And in some incidences, a home will go under contract in a weekend. And then in another incidence, a home will stay on the market a little bit longer. Some of that is the pent upness of home contingencies. So people want to write an offer on a home, but they're having to, and they love the home, but they're having to sell their home first. And so there's a little bit of a bottleneck happening there. So I do believe that's some of it. So if you're a seller out there thinking about selling, just know your days on market could be a little bit longer than what we've been seeing. They're still selling. There's nothing that we put on the market. We've sold everything we've put on the market. It just may take it a little bit longer. So that is something to be aware of and something that we're experiencing and seeing as a team. And we actually just got back from a conference in Michigan, and so we were with agents all across the country, and agents all across the country are kind of experiencing that a little bit more days on market. And that's proof of that you see in the inventory. That's why the inventory is starting to go up. It's because the days of the market. So inventory homes are starting to stack in there. So all right, that is your update of what's going on. If you guys have any questions about anything that I've talked about here, or just questions about real estate in general, please give us a call. I mean, we're here to be a resource for you guys and to help you out with your questions. If you got friends or family that have questions, please have them reach out, because our heart and our goal is just to serve you guys. If you know anybody that needs to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please think of us and send them to us. And you guys have a great rest of the summer, and we will talk to you soon.